Hi beauties, are you Jamaican or Bahamian? Are you between the ages of 20 and 35? Can you speak French at least a B1 level? Do you want to go to France to live and work for 6 months as a language assistant? If you answered yes to all those questions, then this video is for you. I did it, and so can you. And if you want to know how, just keep on watching.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, it's me. I'm here. Is this thing even on?
Okay, let me get a little bit more comfortable. Okay, my name is Belushai. I'm 23 years old and I'm Jamaican. And for the past 6 months, I've been living and working in France as a teaching assistant through the Teaching Assistantship Program in France, otherwise called tapif. Let's get into the details. Okay, so just a little bit of background because this is my first YouTube video. Welcome to my channel. Please feel free, if this information is remotely helpful to you or you just want to watch me, please like, subscribe and share, and leave a comment. Okay, so I have been studying Spanish and French for a while. I did both in high school. I did them both in CSEC and I did Spanish at the Cape level as well. I wanted to do French, but it didn't work out like that. So I'm a lover of languages, and this is why when I saw this opportunity, I was like, absolutely, let's get into it. Let's do it. Yeah, so I love languages. I really preferred French. I loved it. So I was like, okay, I mean, why not? And so I did. So I have been an assistant. I'm still in France. I'm recording this on April 30th. I'm still in France. My contract ended today. So I'm gonna do a little bit more exploring and then I'll go back home to Jamaica. I've been in France since October of 2024, and I'm gonna break down in this video the application process, the challenges, the tips, the recommendations, and how you can do it too. Okay. If you see me like looking down, I have things to cover in the video. I don't want it to be a fluke. I want to be as transparent as possible and as honest as possible as well. Okay, all right, let's talk about the application process. So based on my experience, I can only speak for Jamaican nationals and Bahamian nationals. These are the basic requirements to even qualify for the program. You have to be a Jamaican or Bahamian national who speaks English. You have to be between the ages of 20 and 35 years old. You have to speak some French, at least B1, at least conversational French to get by. You will need that. You don't have to be fluent, but you have to speak at least some French. And you need at least 2 years of tertiary study. So if you are in university online and you've completed at least 2 years, bingo. If you've just graduated, you don't know what you want to do, you need, to improve your French, bingo. But you need to have gone to university for at least 2 years. Okay, so let's get into the timeline of things. So I started this process back in December of 2023, okay? How I started, I sent an email to tapif.jambah@gmail.com, and I asked the relevant questions, got the relevant information, and started the process. So that was December 2023, and between December 2023 and February of 2024, I gathered and uploaded all my documents to the Adele platform. Adele is where you will get all your important information, so you need to be checking it regularly. Okay, so after you have, sent your email or did the inquiry, and you have met all the preliminary requirements that I just mentioned, for Adele, this is what you'll need to upload. You will need a university transcript to show that you did go to university and you have completed at least 2 years. You will need a motivational letter that you will have to write in French, and you'll also be required to upload a version in English as well. You will need a police record check to be able to work around kids, as you will be working in schools. You need that background check. And lastly, you will need a professor evaluation to prove your competency in French. If, like me, you did a bit of the languages, French and Spanish or whatever, you did French in college, or you did a French course in college, and your university professor can validate that competency, you can do that. You can get competency through Alliance Française, okay? You will need a passport because they will require you to upload your passport bio page. All right, amazing. So as I said, started the application process back in December of 2023. Then I gathered my documents between December of 2023 and February of 2024. On April 3rd of 2024, I got, invited to do an interview. For this interview, I would recommend that you practice, okay? You prepare well, because this interview, there will be a section that will take place in French. So you will have to show that you can, 1, understand spoken French, and 2, speak French, okay? It's nothing hard per se, because I got an interview guide, like they outlined all the things that you might need, or all the things that you might get asked, so you can prepare well. I would say prepare well and be yourself, be confident, okay? It was a panel of interviewers. I think it was around 5 people who took turns asking questions, bouncing between French and English. It felt more like, I wouldn't want to say a job interview. It felt a little less rigid than that, but it was still an interview nonetheless, okay? And then, let's see. I'm verifying my dates. On April 24th, I heard back. I was successful in the interview. I was accepted to become a language assistant in France. There is a chance that you might not go to France. You might go to a French territory like Martinique or Guadeloupe. It depends. I don't know anyone who has gone to Martinique or Guadeloupe, so bear that in mind. Okay, then on June 5th, I had breakfast with the French ambassador and other assistants, the ones who were gonna go in the same batch as me and the ones who just came back from the year before. It was a lovely breakfast, by the way. Learned a lot, met a lot of people. So you can bounce ideas off each other. You can ask the questions that you want to ask, and so on and so forth. It's great for networking. Then on July 22nd of 2024, we had our first information session. We were told, or we were advised on how to go about transportation, flights, the visa, housing, all the necessary tidbits that you need. It was a chance to meet the other assistants from Bahamas who would have been selected, and the other ones from Jamaica who would not have come to the breakfast, but would have been going on the program as the same time as me, and ask all the relevant questions from the assistants who have gone on the program before. Okay, so it was a lot of resources being shared in that information session on July 22nd. And then on September 12th, we had another information session with the FEI, the France Éducation Internationale. So that's France Education International, to talk about, well, just the program, your what you can and cannot do, what it may or may not look like, stuff like that. Just anything that would be more concretized than what the team in Jamaica could answer, if that makes sense. So it was more information, you know, more help from a French national, from the program coordinators from France. Okay. All right, let's talk about my preparation for the program, and then we'll jump right into school placements. Okay, so to prepare, for sure, for Jamaican citizens, Jamaican nationals, you will need a visa, a Schengen visa. For language assistance, last year and the year before, I'm hearing the visa was free because the embassy paid for it. However, because the visa is not issued in Jamaica, you do have to pay a courier fee to send it from the visa office in Kingston to where it will be issued in Washington, D.C. And that costed about, roughly, I don't remember the exact figure, 15,500 Jamaican dollars. Okay. I did insurance. I did Schengen insurance because I was told I needed it. I paid 297 euros for that. However, I haven't met anyone else who paid for insurance, just because you will be required to apply for your carte vitale, which is your social security card, and that does come with insurance. So I don't think it's quite necessary. However, please do your own research and make your own choices. Flight, I flew from Montego Bay Airport to Brussels airport in Belgium. That flight costed 269 euros. However, oh yes, via airline TUI, TUI. However, TUI no longer flies from Jamaica to Belgium because there was an issue with the one airplane that did. So if you're Jamaican and you don't have a US visa to transit through the US, you can always fly TUI. No, well, with the recent updates with Belgium, you can fly from Montego Bay Airport through TUI to Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam you can take a bus or a train to France. I came through the Belgium route because that was an option at the time, and that was between 20 and 50 euros. It was not bad. Oh, we went through Belgian customs. It was not like a daunting process. We were just asked like, where are you going, which city, what are you gonna do, are you excited, so on and so forth. That customs interview might take place in French, but ours didn't. I would advise that you have your documents just in case. However, we weren't asked for any documents at the border. Also, please know where you're going. At least be able to either say like the closest bigger city, because not all the cities will be known, but at least the name of the city in French or the name of the region in French. Okay, let's get into school placements. So I was placed at 3 primary schools in the south of France, in the Academy of Vaucluse. So that's in Marseille. You have you can choose on Adele your preferences for region and your preferences for age group, but there is maternelle, which is like basic school, K2 basic school, K1, K2 basic school. You have primaire or élémentaire, which is like primary school. Then you have collège and lycée which is like high school, but their high school is broken up into two parts, college and lycée. You have the option to tell them your preference, but you might not get your preference. So I was placed in 3 primary schools in the city of Carpentras in the south of France. Okay, so my contracted work hours were 12 hours for the week, and that was split among the 3 schools. So I did 5 hours at one school, 4 hours at one school, and 3 hours at the other school. Responsibilities, it depends on your teachers that you're working alongside and the school. For one of my schools that I went, I planned and executed 100% of the lessons with just a little bit of help from the teachers to calm the class, I guess. But like, I made the PowerPoint, I made the resources, I planned the lessons, I executed them. At another one of the schools, I executed the lessons that the teachers planned. So they would give me like either a guideline for what I was supposed to do or the topic, and I did my thing, or they planned the entire thing and we freestyle the activities and so on. And then at the other school, the teachers planned the lesson and I helped them to execute at the beginning of my stay. But then as the months progressed, I was required to plan and execute the lessons, including making the resources and planning the activities. So it all depends. Would I say that you need to have teaching experience? No, but that would be an asset. You are encouraged to seek help, to ask for help. The teachers are there to help you. I would advise for you to utilize your resources, AI, bounce ideas through other assistants. You can hit me up. I have like all my lesson plans that I planned. I have all my lesson plans and resources. I can share those with you. And yeah, just have fun. Just have fun. It's not as rigid as language learning is in Jamaica. It's not as rigid because their focus is on communication, so it's not as rigid. So you have the flexibility to be yourself while sharing your culture and your language. Okay, point to note though about Adele: during the summer, check Adele religiously. That's where you'll get all the necessary and important updates, like your region that you're placed in, your academy, your reference professor, the schools that you are placed in, how many schools you are placed in, so on and so forth. And that's where you get contact information for the schools and so on. You are encouraged before you go to reach out to the schools. Let them know that you're coming. It shows good faith, I would say, to reach out to the schools, let them know that you're coming, and ask questions about the kids and the age group so you can prepare yourself mentally. Also, you know what, stick up in, let's get into rent and housing. Okay, so I lived in an apartment in the city that I work in, Carpentras. A lot of people are not as fortunate to live and work in the same city. Some people have to commute by bus. If you do have to commute by bus, you can apply for a stipend to cover that cost. However, I was one of the lucky ones who lived and worked in the same city. So I worked in Carpentras and I live in Carpentras. How I found my apartment was through the academy. So I reached out to all the schools to see if they offer housing on the school compound or nearby. Some do. You might find that some do. I would encourage you to find that out. It's typically a little bit cheaper to live in school residence. So I reached out to all the schools, I reached out to the principals, I reached out to everyone who whose contact information was provided to me on Adele, and through the academy, I found my landlady. She was referred to me by the my point person in the academy or in the department. So that's how I found it. I paid 350 euros per month for rent at the start of each month. Okay, let's talk money. Okay, you do work 12 hours per week, so that's 48 hours for the month, and you do get a salary or stipend of between 800 and 1,000 euros gross. For my department, Academy of Vaucluse, I was paid 1,012 euros gross, that's before taxes, and I got paid 833 euros net after taxes. So my take-home pay for the month was 833 euros. Rehousing and expenses, I would not advise you to spend more than 30% of your salary on your rent, because you will have other expenses. Point to note, you do have to validate your visa when you get here, and that does attract a cost of 200 euros. So within the first, I think 30 days, I'm not sure, but within the first couple of weeks of being here and arriving safely, you must remember to validate your visa. If you do not validate your visa, you are an illegal alien in the Piplum country. So please do not make that mistake. Prepare that little cost in your head. That's 200 euros for the visa validation. Okay. All right, so the cost of living in my city is not bad, because even though I was paying almost half of my salary in rent, I spent 50 to 100 euros per month on food, and that is including fast food. So it kind of balanced out a little bit. Also, point to note, you are not allowed on your visa to work any other jobs, any other official jobs. I mean, your department might refer you to do babysitting or so on and so forth, but you are not allowed. It's not allowed for you to pick up other jobs. Point to note. Let's get into my highlights or challenges for this section. I would love to do what I love to call roses and thorns. It's something I learned at camps growing up, and I just believe it works. So roses would be, things that are up here for me, highlights, and then the thorns would be things that are down here, challenges. All right, let's get into the roses. Number 1, French improvement. Oh my god, I absolutely love how I was able to improve my French. Je pense que je parle plus mieux que je parlais quand je suis venue d'arriver en France. So I think I speak so much better than when I just arrived here. My French has improved a lot because I was forced to be talking the French. So 10 out of 10, chef's kiss. Number 2, I love how I was able to impact students. So students, if all they learned was to even say hello, how are you, and to answer, oh, I'm okay, I'm tired, I'm sick, I'm sleepy, then you made an impact on someone else's life. And I believe in impact. So many people have impacted my life, and it feels so good to return that favor, Another rose for me, number 3, cultural experience. You get to experience a different culture, especially if you're someone like me who loves the language, you love the culture, and you get to experience it, chef's kiss. Ease of travel. For me, one of my roses is that I live in a walkable city, meaning I didn't really have to take a bus or a train to go anywhere, except if I wanted to go out of town. Almost everything was in walking distance from my apartment, the supermarket, the movie theater, the department store, the market, so on and so forth, and all 3 schools, church, everything was within walking distance. So I really appreciated that. I was able to practice speaking French the local way, because how I learned French was the traditional pen to paper grammar correction method. And being here, I was exposed to more of the communication method. For example, in textbook French, we learn je ne sais pas. Here, in conversation, like casual conversation, they say c'est pas moi. C'est pas moi. The je ne sais pas becomes je sais pas. The je sais pas becomes sais pas. And then they add the moi for flair, I guess. C'est pas moi. Or je suis becomes suis. Je suis fatigué. Je suis fatigué, moi. So you learn, you learn the lingo, which is great. I loved how I was able to share my culture. I did presentations on Jamaican Christmas. I did presentations on Jamaican food. I did presentations on Jamaican music. I did presentations on Black History Month. I did presentations on Jamaican icons. I did presentations on Jamaican patois. I did so many presentations. I taught them about Marley song. I loved being able to share my culture. It was one of the highlights for me. I loved it. Chef's kiss. One of my biggest flexes is that I'm Jamaican. I'm very proud of that. Lastly, on my list of roses or highlights, I love that I was forced out of my comfort zone. Honestly, even though I've been learning French since high school, I don't believe I was able to talk because I didn't really talk in the language, and because if I am an English native and I still stutter when I talk English because of anxiety, imagine a whole new language. But I was forced out of my comfort zone. I had to talk in the French, and I really love that. Also, I get really paranoid and really jittery, and I had to travel a lot by myself. So I really loved that it pushed me or forced me out of that comfort zone. Okay, now let's get into the thorns, downsides, challenges, if you may. I was very lonely here. I mean, you never know the value of your environment until it's no longer accessible to you. So even though I wouldn't get lonely at home, even when I was spending time by myself, I had access to the people that I loved, and here the closest person to me that I love and cherish would be my best friend in Canada, which is so far away from France in Europe. Okay, so I was really lonely here. I experienced a lot of barriers to communication because spoken French is very different from conversational French, and conversational French is very different from lingo, and lingo is very different from dialect. So it was, even though I could understand the French and I can speak a little bit of the French, well, a lot actually, pick up myself, I don't play myself. Not in 2025, no. I speak French, okay? Sometimes it was really hard to, to understand what people were saying, and that is even with using context clues, because the first time I heard je sais pas, I'm like, what? Because I learned je ne sais pas, and even though some people eliminate the ne, it becomes je sais pas. So when I heard je sais pas, I'm like, ça veut dire quoi je sais pas? Je sais pas, ça veut dire quoi? Ça signifie quoi? So there are definite barriers to communication. So you learn as you go along. Learning. The learning never stops. The weather here was a very big thorn for me. I'm sorry, I don't like the seasons. When the seasons were changing was so frustrating. Where I was in the south, it did not snow, so I cannot even imagine being where it snowed. Oh my god, I wanted to see the snow, but I didn't get to. I cannot even imagine, because it was so cold here and we had good weather. It was very cold. That was a thorn for me. And the last one that I have is difficulty with finding food or products that you like. Guys, oh my god. Yeah, so the first week I was here, I walked up and down trying to find, I don't remember what it was, and I could not find it. So I mean, you know, you adjust, because you know, you adjust, you find things that, you know, taste the same or a little bit, you know, kind of the same or whatever. But I couldn't find brands that I knew, and I didn't really like having to try new brands, because I think some brands are very global, and I was surprised when I couldn't find brands that I knew. So yeah, so that was a thorn for me. This video is quite shorter than I expected it to be. I have two more little sections that I want to get into, and then, you know, okay, advice. I have a lot of advice. Okay, number one, try to find housing from early. Use all the resources you are provided with on Adele. Take advantage of the assistants who went before you. For example, if you're going on the program and you're coming to Carpentras, hit me up. You know, reach out to your school, reach out to your academy, reach out to your prof, your reference professor, you know, your point of contact. Reach out to past assistants. Reach out, you know, reach out, because if you wait until you come here to find housing, it can be very difficult. I don't want you to be here spending loads of money on hotels, and I don't want you to be here stranded and homeless. Try your best to get situated in housing before you get here. Number two, profit from all assistance that you get. So if you're 25 and under, train rides and bus rides and so on and so forth are half off, sometimes cheaper. Profit. Bring your passport or your ID everywhere with you so you can show that you're 25 and under. Profit. There's something called the Caisse Allocation Familiale, or CAF, that helps you with your rent. As you reach here, sign up. Mafa, before you reach, sign up. For, I think I did CAF, I got 100 euros for about 4 months out of the 6. 4 months? No, actually for 3 months out of the 6, which is good. To just apply. If it's even 50 euros I get, it's gonna help you apply. So the CAF, SNCF, which is like, you know, transportation, you know, where you can find buses or rides or whatever. Yes, do it. The carte vitale. So, you know, if you go to the doctor and you get your prescription, you can get money off. Everything that is available to you in your city in terms of help, get that. Get it. Profit. Okay. Number 3, research your city before you travel. Research, 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 research. Research is gonna be your best friend. Research. For example, if for me, when I got in touch with my landlady, I asked her, like, is this accessible to me? Da 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 da. Find out if you have a supermarket nearby where you live, because imagine you have to go take the bus or the tram with groceries. You understand what I'm saying? So do research so you can better plan, so you don't get stranded and frustrated in a foreign country. Research, 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 so you don't get blindsided. Research, best friend. Research all of the amenities in your city. Research for me, a very, very important part was researching fast food. Research. Okay. Number 4, bring at least your first month's rent plus some spending cash or whatever, in case you don't get your stipend in the first month of working. It's a very real possibility, and they will tell you that. So I would advise that you bring your first month's rent at least, and bring some cash, or a card, some money. Have some money to spend just in case. Okay. For me, I traveled with 400 euros in cash, and I did have about $500 US on my Bank of America card. I did have some money on my Jamaican card as well. Bring some money. You never know what might happen. I didn't get my salary late, but you need for, when it come, you need for buy little grocery, little snacks to keep you over, especially if you have to pay your rent up front for the first of the month. So so you have something to fall back on. Bring, I would say, aside from your first month's rent, bring at least 200 euros in cash. At least. You can bring more, but I would say at least 200 euros. Number 5, to avoid the hassle, here's what I did. I got a prepaid SIM card, like one of them card, like the SIM card where you get, and you just you top it up every month, so it's not like a permanent thing. So if you stop pay for the card stop work, you're gonna need data, you're gonna need the internet. The internet will be your best friend. Research that as well. Do some research. Okay, no, but I not even know if it phrase this. Do some research, see what works out best for you. For me, what I did, I got a prepaid SIM card where I was able to choose like a monthly plan, and I paid that every month. I paid €8.99 for 180 gigabytes, and that can hotspot my computer. It gets me through the month. Okay. See what plan works best for you. Some people, they go with, like how you have digital and flow and whatever. Here you have Orange, you have Free, you have SFR. You search if those work better for you. You might not have access to Wi-Fi where you live, so you're gonna need internet. Okay, so try to get a SIM card. If you can get an eSIM before you come as well, voila. You're gonna need some internet though. You're gonna need access to a phone number. You're gonna need some internet. Also, to not delay your remuneration, your salary, I would advise that you get online banking if possible. So if you can ask beforehand if your academy accepts online banks and which online banks they accept, because you can sign up from your day Jamaica for an online bank. That's not what I did, but you find out which one works best for you with the fees and everything, because you're gonna know how much you're gonna get paid, so you can work that out. If you see, for me, I used Revolut, that has an online bank option, and I pay €3.99 per month for the use of the card, because you don't get, with that $3.99 plan, you don't get charged ATM fees and you don't get charged point of sale fees or transfer fees. So that worked out really well for me. Okay, so do all of that if you can, because if you don't have like banking information, French banking information, that might delay your salary a little bit. Number 6, say yes to opportunities. Even if it's a little bit out of your comfort zone, you know, trust yourself, trust your intuition, but say yes. So when I just got here, my landlady invited me to go on a hike. Hiking is way out of my comfort zone, but I did, and I really enjoyed it. So you say yes, you know, go see your city if you can, and if you have access to someone who is willing to show you, I would advise that you take great benefit of that. So say yes to opportunities to explore. Number 7, bring all your favorite stuff just in case you don't find them here. Bring all your favorite stuff. For example, me, I'm an Andrews girl. I love Andrews. Gone to bed. Me and Andrews go together because my stomach, she gets a little queasy sometimes. So what I did, I brought my Andrews with me. I'm not really a tea person, but I do drink tea when I feel a little bit stressed. So what I did, I brought my ginger tea bag with me. I have locks, I have dandruff, I use specific products for my hair. You know what I did? I brought those specific products with me. So bring all your favorite stuff. Bring all your favorite stuff. In case you either don't have the option to buy it online, or you're worried that you might not find it in your city, bring it just in case. I would also advise you to bring your favorite seasonings from Jamaica. I didn't. I had to order browning from the UK, and that cost me an arm and a leg. My sister had to send me browning and Maggie all the way from the US. That cost her an arm and a leg. So to not be like me, to learn from my mistakes, please bring all your favorite seasonings. Bring them all. Bring your Walker's Wood, bring your browning, bring your Maggie. You might find seasoning here, but trust it, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. Also, take your time to try new things. Try in a little bit, in little portions until you find something that you like. For example, I had to try milk several times here before I found milk that I liked. So do that. But just in case, bring your favorite stuff. Number 8, do not be afraid to make mistakes. By just looking at you, from your open your mouth, your French accent could have on point, they're gonna know that you are not French by nationality. They're gonna know. So you know what, don't even apologize, just be yourself. Bonjour, est-ce que vous parlez en anglais? Est-ce que vous do you speak English? If you're not comfortable, but the point is to get comfortable. Because from you say bonjour, you could have to go to a sound till gone to bed. They're gonna know. They're gonna know. Oh, tu parles avec un accent. Tu parles avec un accent. Tu viens d'où? Tu parles avec un accent. They're gonna know. So just keep like, oh my god, désolé, je parle pas bien. No. Bonjour. Est-ce que je prends? Est-ce que whatever. Ask your questions, ask your directions, move right along. If they're comfortable with you, they'll correct you. My landlady corrected me all the time. Chef's kiss, I love that. Correct me. Let me learn. Teach me. Yeah, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's the point. And lastly, bring an adapter. You're gonna need an adapter. yeah, bring one. If you buy it here online, it might be a little bit expensive. I would suggest that you bring an extension for an adapter. So you bring the extension with the correct European thing and whatever. Let me see if I have one here. So this is what it looks like with the two little pointy things. I got an adapter in Mandeville. Well, my boyfriend got it for me when I was coming. I got an adapter in Mandeville for 650 Jamaican dollars. Okay, the extensions would be a little bit more expensive. They're also on Amazon. Do that before you come here, because Amazon.fr, Amazon France, and Amazon.com are two different price, my love. Okay, two different price. All right, last section. Oh my god, I am such a yapper, I'm so sorry. But last section is last section is question and answer. When I just got here, I had planned to make the YouTube channel and do little French experiences and whatever. That didn't quite work out, but I did post a lot of videos on TikTok, so you can check that out at Bella_Levy_. Question number 1. Did you have an amazing time? I did. Like, despite all the challenges, I did enjoy my time. I wanted to do more, but in my heart of hearts, I was not mentally prepared to do more. But I did enjoy my time. It was an amazing experience. It was. I would definitely recommend it. Question number 2. How long are you in France for? My contract lasted 6 months, so it was from October 1st 2024 to April 30th 2025, so a total of 6 months. Number 3. How are you coping without your family and friends? To be very honest, I was not coping well. I mean, France, when I just came, it was autumn or fall, and it was 7 hours ahead of Jamaica. And then I think as the seasons changed from autumn to winter, I think it moved down to 6 hours ahead of Jamaica. And then when it changed again at the beginning of spring, it moved back up to 7 hours ahead. So I wasn't really coping because I was so far ahead in time and so on and so forth. However, I did sacrifice a lot to talk to my friends and family, to make sure that I found time to talk to them. Also, I really tapped into my other hobbies, so like my reading, my journaling, I did a little bit of walking, exploring, so on and so forth. So I found other ways to occupy my time. I watched a lot of TV shows, I did a lot of reading, so on and so forth. I tapped into all my other hobbies, my other interests. Also, I invested in some melatonin because it was very, very hard for me to adjust to the time difference. My body still probably hasn't adjusted well. So I had trouble sleeping and so on. It was hard coping without my family and friends, but I made the best of it. I sacrificed, and when I couldn't talk to my family and friends, I tapped into my other hobbies. All right, number 4. Is the food good? I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. I did not try much of the French cuisine, and it's no shade to the French culture. It's just that I wouldn't say I'm a picky eater, but I'm very selective about what I eat, and so I didn't really try French cuisine. However, the people did not exaggerate when they said French pastry is top tier. And I tell you that if the French don't know anything, they know pastry and they know bread. Chef's kiss, croissant, baguette, brioche, pain au chocolat. all of them amazing. French people really know how to get down into it. You know, they say you haven't lived life until you have eaten a croissant from France. They were not lying. So the food, I don't know if the food is good, but the pastry and the bread, chef's kiss, amazing. Number 5, what was the biggest culture shock you experienced? I think I will say 2. One of the biggest culture shocks I experienced was the school system. So here in this academy, they only go to school 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So no school on Wednesdays. And they go to school 6 hours per day. So 8:30 to 11:30 in the morning. They pause for la pause meridienne, which is like lunch, for 2 hours. Then they resume at 1:30 in the afternoon to 4:30 in the afternoon. Yeah, and also students don't wear a uniform. They wear whatever they're comfortable with. So as long as it's functional, it's not promoting nudity, religion, or sexuality, they're free. So if you want to dress like a princess, you can. If you want to dress like Batman, you can. Also, teachers don't have a dress code either, so they wear whatever they feel comfortable in. So as long as it's functional, you can function in it, you can do your job, not promoting religion, sexuality, nudity, lewd images, so on and so forth. You can wear what you want, which is great for me because sometimes, well, all the time I wore sneakers to school, and when it was really cold and my sweatpants were the warmest thing I owned, I could wear my sweatpants to school, no problem. The second thing is, and this tickled me in the worst way, this grinded my gears. People, I had to pack my own bag at the supermarket. The ghetto, because what? So the first time I realized I was there, neat and fine, I put juice first, rice, and then eggs on top. And then I realized people were still in the line waiting for me to finish. I was very, 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 very humiliated. So after that very humiliating experience, I was humbled, and I made the executive decision to not go to the supermarket when it's crowded. I tried my best to not go because I just felt so pressured into packing the bags fast. And then I went outside and repacked the bags. It was very, 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 very weird. It was very, 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 very ghetto. Yeah, so those are 2 of the biggest culture shocks that I experienced. Number 6, how did this program help you grow personally and professionally? So personally, I think I became a lot more confident in myself and confident in my purpose, confident in my abilities. So I exuded more confidence than usual because here I was talking the language that I was learning and loving, and it just made me more confident in myself and my ability to speak. I also became more mature in realizing that I'm human and I make mistakes, and that's life. Such is life. So I became, a little bit more graceful towards myself and mature to, accept my errors and learn and evolve as I grow along. Professionally, I would say I really gained a lot of experience with teaching. So if I should ever go back and finish that degree that I ended prematurely, shame, I will have this experience to count on, to fall back on, because I grew professionally in my delivery of what I was teaching, in my preparation, in my execution. It gave me gainful experience, and I really appreciate that. Number 7, what do you wish you had known before going? I wish I had, 1, known the extent of my responsibilities so I could prepare myself mentally better and also manage my expectations. So I wish I had asked like the academy and the schools, like, will I be the ones planning will I be the one planning the lessons? You know, what will my role look like, so I could prepare myself better. And also I wish I had known to bring like seasonings and stuff, because I'm like, where can you not find seasonings in the world? I mean, everybody uses seasonings, right? Wrong. So I wish I had known to bring my own seasonings and so on. I'll do better next time. And then the last one, looking back, how did the experience change you? I think I answered this a little bit in number 6, but I have grown more confident. I have become more, you know, I don't know, more outgoing. I came out of my shell. I trusted my instincts. I tabled to some extent my fear and did not let it allow me to not do what I wanted to do, for example. So, you know, I have changed a lot, and I'm very, very, very grateful for this experience. Okay, my lovelies, okay beauties, we have come to the end of the video. If you have reached this far, please drop some purple hearts in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any specific questions, you can ask me. You can hit me up on TikTok, send me a DM, you can send me an email, you can hit me up on Instagram. I'll answer all the questions that you have, or you can drop them in the comments. Don't forget to like, to comment, to share, and to subscribe if you want to see more of me and my language learning journey, or more of my little boring lifestyle. Thank you guys so much. And if this video even remotely helped you, you can always share to your friends and let them know to come and check me out. Also, Tapif Jamaica for the year 2025 to 2026 is still accepting applicants. The deadline is May 30th, so please jump on it. I promise you will not regret it. Bye.